fall under the jurisdiction somehow of the Board of Supervisors, and there's a 3-minute time limit. Obviously, we cannot take action on any item brought to us at this time. We can agendize it for a future meeting if necessary. So, is there anybody in the audience? I don't think, Madam Clerk, we have any slips at this time. Is that correct? Is there anybody in the audience wishing to address the board under public comment? Take care of that. Very good. Okay, we're going to move on then to D, matter set for time certain. And one item that we're going to try and squeeze in is item H2. I know Pete's not in the room yet, but I know he's got a 10 o'clock appointment, I believe, so when Pete Heimliger arrives, we'll try and take care of H2. We're going to move on to item D1 on agenda, reports by board members. Supervisor Wasik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for, I was absent the last meeting. I appreciate the opportunity to be away with my son. We had a nice time in Mammoth Lakes and good competition, a nice family getaway. It's an annual event, so unfortunately it fell when the board meeting was, but thanks for letting me be away. Had a good time. Yeah, thank you. That's all I have. Thanks.
Supervisor Bob. Thank you. Supervisor Outlaw.
Just a couple of things. One, yesterday I was unable to attend the transportation meeting. But anyway, there was, we got taken care of early with the RCD and had a couple of phone calls on the water master issue on that. See, we have that on, coming up on the future agenda. And then we had the Golden State Star Party. They were up there. We're still up there today. No, it was their last night of viewing up there. Anyway, there was 400 this year, so we doubled the size of 8 up there. It's been good skies for them, so we've been enjoying it. It's a good deal. That's all I have.
Supervisor Chapman.
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We get through this one easily. I did attend transportation with Supervisor Wasik yesterday, and the one item that was not necessarily unexpected, Mr. Feld. Mr. Feld did announce to both the commission and the agency, the Transit Service Agency, that he is moving on from his position, but not moving on from the community. Is that correct, Mr. Feld? His replacement was there, Ron
Leo.
Leo. That's correct.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. I'm leaving Paratransit Services. They're probably stepping down as the manager of the Lassen Rural Bus. As many people know, I'm deeply involved in the community, though, and I intend to stay here in Susanville and monitor these meetings and keep an eye on you guys. And, maybe I'll run for a position on the council or something in the next year or two. I am a city resident, so who would that put me in with, Jim? Mostly, I intend to stay around.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. On behalf of the board, we want to thank you for all your service and the way you worked with the community. I think, I know Supervisor Wasik was instrumental in choosing Paratransit, and Larry, you did a great job. They're an excellent outfit, and appreciate everything you do around the community, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and take up the information and consent calendar. Anything pulled for separate discussion? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion. Is there a second?
One question. The minutes of the 25th, is that fall now under consent or not?
Yes.
Yes.
I need to
Yes.
abstain.
Yes, it does fall under consent, okay. All right, did you second Supervisor Powell's
Yeah.
motion to approve the
Second.
consent agenda without an abstaining from item G1? Any further discussion? Any discussion by the audience? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, we'll move on to item H1. And Maury, I think that's, or Thomas, I believe you're handling that, is that correct? This is the CEQA item, SB 731, and I know, Marty, you've been involved in this as well, so go go ahead and take that up at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a little background, in 2012, Governor Brown and some members of the legislation started beginning talks about CEQA reform. Leading that was Senator Rubio. At that time, CSAC was on board with CEQA reform and still is. And since Rubio's stepping down, multiple bills were tried to assemble, and what we ended up with is Senate Bill 371 Steinberg, which was introduced on February 22nd of 2013 and subsequently amended on April 23rd, May 7th, and the 24th of May, and then was referred to the Natural Resource Committee on July 1st. As I stated earlier, CSAC is in support of CEQA reform, however, specifically not with this bill. They put out a letter that I believe the letter you have is in draft form. That letter.
I just distributed a copy of the
Right.
final letter.
Okay. I spoke with Karen Martson of CSAC yesterday, and they have a second letter that's going to be going out this morning. It was in draft form yesterday at 4 o'clock. Today it's going to be signed, and they have a meeting with Les Tresbro, who is the chairman of the Natural Resource Committee, and that's happening at 2. So there may be changes. What CSAC sees good is there's some appropriations for local agencies that are allowed. Downfalls fall into the times of extended timelines and findings. They're thinking that may lead to possible delays of CEQA projects that have mitigation, will require lead agencies to do annual reports. So annual reports on mitigations and put out a document for review. They're squeezing the Office of Planning and Research, OPR, to develop thresholds of findings and significance with a pretty advanced timelines. And additional concerns are timeframes and costs. Trolling is another concern. Actions by lead agencies are trying to limit the extension and delays of possible approvals. You know, all this, the CSAC and Steinberg, they both agree that CEQA reform does need to be completed. However, this may not be the appropriate bill for CSAC. So what we're looking for, board, is possible heading on towards CEQA reform. That's needed. However, with the caveat that this may not be the bill that we're looking for.
Well, what we'd recommend is you support the CSAC principles reforms in your agenda package, but not 731 at this point in time. The letter that I handed out is sent from what's called the Public Works Coalition. You can see all the different agencies in terms of the letterhead. And Thomas went through some of the objections to 731. This is a very complicated piece of legislation. Negotiations are going on. Hopeful that we do get some substantial CEQA reform that makes it less burdensome for both the development community and the public agencies to implement. So I think we want to be a part of this reform effort, but 731 is not our bill in its current form.
Questions or comments by board members?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I could, under comments,
Mr. Chapman,
I
you're our
appreciate-
CSAC representative
Yeah, I
as well.
appreciate the recommendation made by Mr. Nichols, and, you know, I would say that if the Senate Bill 731 or another like bill comes forward that embraces the principles and guidelines that the CSAC policy statement has, that we'd be on record as supporting that. So, because the way legislation goes, a lot of times this will happen like that, you know, I mean, what you see today isn't what you're gonna see tomorrow, and you won't see next week, and things will move real fast. So trying to agendize that and put a position where we could actually support a piece of legislation, it'd be like trying to hit a moving target. It would be very difficult at best. So my recommendation would be is that we authorize the administrative officer that if and when a bill materializes in a form that is consistent with the CSAC guidelines, that we as a county support, you know, that particular piece of legislation, whatever number it is, whatever, as long as it's consistent. And I think he could do that without having to bring that back to the board, other than maybe report if and when that does materialize. And it may not materialize.
Do you think based on what you see in Sacramento, that actually isn't going to material?
Well, I would say that it would probably be a 50-50 proposition to see, and if you read the news articles on a daily basis on CICG, which is and also on Rough and Tumble, the rtumble.com site, which is kind of a statewide clipping service of political news, this is, the likelihood of this materializing toward the end of the summer with the current session of the legislature is looking to be less and less likely. But that doesn't mean that, because Steinberg is going to be termed out, this is something that's very important to him. Some sort of deal gets cooked up at 10:45, on September the 2nd, on the day before the adjournment of the session, and they roll it out and vote on it, all of a sudden it's there. So you have to be very nimble, and you have to be prepared for that contingency. So I think that that's where I think CSAC has spent a lot of time trying to hone what the issues are, and having reviewed the memo that's before us, and having, actually at the legislative conference at the end of May that I attended in Sacramento, this was a topic of discussion at the National Resources Committee of CSAC, and I think there's been a lot of energy put forth to try to craft what would be something that would be a meaningful reform that would make CEQA work for everybody concerned. And the counties are the ones that are at the center of having to administer a big part of it. Cities do deal with it in a smaller geographic platform, but the counties are the ones that generally are the big players. And so that would be my suggestion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Got the motion?
I would make that in the form of a motion if that's what it takes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and again, we'll continue the comment on this. Is there anybody in the audience? Ms. Spencer, do you have a comment on this item, please?
Since that was
Would you mind for the recording, as you know the procedure, I know that.
my certificate.
Oh, you can speak from back there, absolutely.
Eileen Spencer from countyhealth.com. You handed out I guess, something off the internet. Is that possible to get a copy of that?
I can email it.
Right there, there's an extra copy right there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience wish to make a comment prior to taking action on the motion? Board members satisfied? You heard the motion made by Supervisor Chapman, seconded by Supervisor Pyle, and this is direction to staff. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, it carries unanimously. I'd like to move on to H2, take up H2. Pete's in the room, so we'll take up H2, which is animal control. Good morning, Pete.
Morning, board members. Last discussion regarding Ms. Valenta and her progress in compliance with county code. There was reference made to Siskiyou County Animal Control Code, the number of dogs that they would allow to be, I guess, licensed under a pack license, I guess is the term that was used at that time. What I'm giving you here is an excerpt from the Siskiyou County Code that talks about how they do their pack license. I've also spoken with their person who does licensing in their department. Also, I believe our county council has had some correspondence with their county council as well on the issue. Basically, the way their code is, the max number of dogs that you can have under the animal control code would be 40. And that's dogs, not a hybrid either. Basically, they don't license hybrids there due to not being able to comply with the rabies control program, so forth. So basically, there isn't, I think Ms. Valenta was saying, there's an unlimited amount of animals that you could have in Siskiyou County. That's not correct. And actually, this before I came down, I was speaking with the person from Siskiyou County that does licensing. Well, Ms. Valenta just contacted them, I believe, this morning to inquire about moving over there and in the McLeod area, I guess, is what I was told. And, I think she went into how many animals they had, but basically the person there referred them to their planning department as well, based on the number of animals and so forth, make sure the same situations here. So I think that was the first time they were aware that she'd even contacted them about that. So that's kind of where it stands as far as what Siskiyou County's doing. I guess there's questions along that lines, but how Siskiyou County handles theirs is similar to ours as far as the number of animals, I guess. There is a cap on that. They just do theirs a little bit differently as far as how they do the monetary charges on it. I also put some other information there just generally about the hybrids, even though that's kind of become a little bit of a side discussion topic. And some of the pros and cons of dealing with hybrids, et cetera, just as informational purposes there. If you haven't read that, have any questions, open to trying to answer those as best I can.
Thank you, Pete, for the completeness here. And board members have any questions before I open it up to the audience?
What was our reason, remind me, to go on the Siskiyou County?
Ms. Valenza, in her discussion, had brought up the Siskiyou ordinance, which would, I believe, I hope I'm not paraphrasing it incorrectly, but she believed that it might allow something such as what she has. And I think Supervisor Wassing, if I'm not mistaken, had suggested that maybe we have a.
She was in support of this? How I read this, it would not help her.
She believed that the Siskiyou County ordinance favored her and wanted us to do something similar. It wasn't
Right.
true. Pete did the research, here's the report on what this has allowed. It's
Right.
not what she said it did.
Well, I asked the question. My understanding of the meeting was she favored this and wanted us to look into it.
That's
As I
what we
read
know.
this, it doesn't favor her a bit.
That's correct.
Okay. County Council have any additional comments?
Her representation of the ordinance is not accurate as to what is in their code. It's very similar to ours, and as their county council said, and we would start off with, the hybrids are not dogs.
Any other questions or comments by board members? Anybody in the audience have any question or comment on this item? Yes. Ms. Spencer?
I thank you for putting that report in there. It doesn't really say bad things about wolves, which is, I thought was notable. It says dogs are more aggressive than wolves because they're more pack-oriented and they have to preserve the pack. And I just thought that, I don't know how many of you read all of it. Did you read all of it? I mean, it's a few pages. I'm just quoting from page 6. I think it's an 11-page report. And I think, given this report from this wolf expert, when it comes up to maybe making a special district for her, might be the best route to go. It's not a, she does such good things for the community. I know I've taken dogs out to her. I've transported wolves, actually, that have been brought to our rescue, and we take them to Oregon. And I have suggested that to her, to take some up to Oregon, and we'd help transport them up there. That may be another option to get her down to 40. But the report on the behavior of wolves is definitely in the wolves' favor. I mean, it's a very well-written, very thorough discussion of the wolves, whether they're in captivity or not. And I agree, they're not domestic. Dogs they're a descendant from the wolves, and there's never been any doubt about that, but they're not domesticated. I mean, the ones we've transported to Oregon, which were more than 51% wolves, were non-aggressive to the, I mean, my husband has transported all of them up there, and he has never, they're beautiful dogs, and they are a dog. I mean, they're a canine, biologically they're a canine, and I just hope rather than doing something so detrimental to her rescue, her hybrid rescue, I hope that you will work with them and with her and at least make special dispensation or a district for her so her rescue can continue. She does a great public service for Lassen County.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Anybody else in the audience wish to comment on this item? Okay, thank you very much, Pete, for the report.
Mr. Chairman and members, we expect on the meeting the 23rd to have further discussions on the framing property compliance.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Okay, we'll move on then to item, see, we've got our time certain, I believe it's 10:15, if I'm not mistaken, it's 10:15, so we'll cover the rest of the agenda. Moving on to item H3. So, Julie, you gonna take that, this tech with the school, superintendent of schools?
Well, it's actually more than a report, so let's see. For each chairman of our IT committee and drafted the report,
I'm unprepared. But, that said, the show must go on. The IT committee meets roughly once a month, sometimes better, sometimes worse. And the focus of late, obviously, has been our challenges that we've had over the last 6-9 months with the loss of our administrator in the IT department. And we really were in a tough situation. We reached out to the office of head and have formed a really good relationship with them. They've been instrumental in helping us along, and their role has been paramount to our success over the last 6 months. And in light of that, we are recommending that we kind of formalize our relationship with them and keep on keeping on. And the way we want to do that is through a levels of service agreement. And what we're looking for is the board to give us direction to go ahead and draft that and let those wheels start moving, and so that we can have some kind of agreement to you here in the next month or two.
But we would see that agreement prior to its being,
Yes,
we would have the approval of that agreement.
that'll be a subsequent agenda item.
Obviously, I think the partnership's been working very well,
We,
what I'm aware of.
certainly administration does, as well as the committee, and, we are very keen on reviewing and working the minutia of the agreement, because a lot of things will turn on what's said in that agreement, and we want to be in position to measure our success and our failure if that's the case. And, what we like about it is if it doesn't work, we'll try something different. But to date, we sure have a lot of good things to say about what's happened in the last 6 months and the help that they've provided and the leadership that they've provided. And Sean and Lacey have just really stepped up as well. So it's working, and unlike most governmental things, we'll fix it till we break it. But this is working, and so we want to just keep on trying it, see if we can't make it work into the future. And there's opportunities for further growth. Perhaps the college, perhaps other entities that want to join the coalition. So.
Thank you, Mark. Board members have any questions or comments on this item?
No, sounds good, good report.
Anybody in the audience have any questions on Mr. Anderson's report? Okay, thank you very much. We've come to the end of our agenda, other than our time certain, which is D2, that's at 10:15. And then we're going to take a 10:25 recess, and then we're scheduled to hear from Colonel Christopher Dexter, who's the commander of Sierra Army Depot, soon to be departing. So, yes. Yes. Good morning, Debbie. I did notice you were right.
Good. The agenda I was sent said 10 o'clock.
No, yours was not a time certain, yours was in the Department of Works.
We'll certainly give you the packet, but essentially, we've discussed the item, the Siskiyou item.
I have a few things I'd like to say about this.
We've got, all right, we'll go ahead at the chair's discretion. We will go ahead and take up item H2, and I would invite the public, reopen item H2, and invite the public comment. Debbie, would you care to address the board on this item? This is a Siskiyou County dog ordinance discussion.
Yes, this person that did this thing on the Siskiyou County pack lot, say, talked to somebody up there. I spent 30 minutes on the phone with the head of the pack law department this morning. There is no breed restrictions, pit bulls, wolf dogs, told her what I had, everything. Not a problem. There's no number restrictions either. So this Larry Miller lied and put it on paper. I have the woman's name and phone number. This is a lie. It's not so. Because I called and talked to her myself. I wasn't gonna take it at face value what was on this letter I was sent. And she said, no, there's no breed restrictions and no number restrictions. But since we have a rescue, they would say that it has to be inspected. They all have to have the rabies shots and blah, 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 blah. And I told her we've had over 100 dogs and down as well as 42. She said, fine. I even recorded the conversation.
Do you have a name?
Her name is Tara. She is in charge of the pack law in Siskiyou County. So everything on this is a lie. I want to know why the county officials in this town think they can just lie and even put it on paper and get away with it. This is not right. Not right. And you guys are making your decisions judged on this when it's not true. There's so many points on all this stuff. I could stand here for an hour critiquing all this stuff I was sent. And this, they went clear back to 1994 to find something derogatory about wolf dogs. They're not hybrids. The word hybrid means two separate species interacting and having an offspring. The wolf is parent animal of the dog, right down to the Chihuahua. They're wolf dogs. They are not hybrids. And that's a matter of record. And it even says, where'd you go? And this is California regulations.
Okay, this is not part of our packet, this is new information that's coming to us.
Yes.
Thank you, Debbie.
It states right here, California section 671, Title 4, sorry, my mouth is dry, and new medicine they put me on just turns me into a dirt ball in the mouth.
Susan?
And down, if you look at 671, 2A, wolf hybrids, and then they have in parentheses, Canis familiaris, domestic dog. They, in the 80s, they deregulated the wolf dog to dog status. And it's right here, and this came right off the Department of Fish and Game License Revenue Grant. I just, for the life of me, don't understand. We take great care of these animals. We've saved a lot of lives. We've taken humans in and saved them from